Okay, we have another episode here of The Fool's Journey by Third Eye of Providence. This is one episode of a series of content where we go through the tarot from the start, which is the Fool card, through the end by the end of January. So if you haven't seen the previous episodes, make sure to go back and check those out. Hit the subscribe button to get the daily notification when I post the new episode, and you can save this playlist to your library to check out this journey at your own pace. Today's episode is the card Justice in the Tarot. This is number 11, so this is episode 12. I'm really excited that we've gotten this far in the Fool's Journey so far, and check out Lady Justice. Alright, let's get right into the Complete Book of Tarot, A Comprehensive Guide by Anthony Lewis. I'm going to show you what the Justice looks like in this. So you can see it says, this is the lawfulness of the universe. So, of course, in the series of episodes, we just did number 10, which is the Wheel of Fortune. So now the wheel has spun and we're at Justice, the lawfulness of the universe. So this card is associated in the astrology with Libra, the scales, which is a sign ruled by Venus. And it is connected to the element of air. Now, the archetype and mythology connected to the Justice card, of course, has to do with karma, the scales of justice, the Egyptian goddess Ma'at, who weighed the souls against a feature to determine if they were worthy of paradise. That would be Ma'at. And do you see the feather in her? Typically, they would put the feather in the person's heart on the scales to determine the justice for this person's life. Now, also, we're going to see King Solomon represented by Justice and Moses receiving the 10 Commandments. So, traditionally throughout Tarot, going back to 1888 in the Mathers deck, we would see this card as the representation of equilibrium. It would also, of course, represent justice and balance. In the reverse, this card would represent bigotry, desire for balance, so something being out of control, abuse of justice, over severity, inequality, and bias. In the Rider-Waite, this card represents equity, rightness, triumph of the deserving side in law. In the reverse, it would represent law in all of its departments, the legal complications, bigotry, bias, and excessive severity. Now, in the Order of the Golden Dawn, Justice card represents justice, balance, legal proceedings, legal trials, and courts of law. Key words associated with the positive aspect of justice are human rights, law and order, equality, fairness, truth, lawfulness, balance, impartiality, tolerance, reasonable decisions, legal matters, accepting responsibility, correcting imbalances, respect for the law, morality, ethics, karma, action and consequences, and the just deserts of one's actions. The shadow aspect, or the negative polarity of justice, or reverse, would represent bias, inequality, unfair treatment, partiality, favoritism, bigotry, intolerance and hypocrisy, unreasonableness, undue influence, irresponsibility, immorality, unethical behavior, legal entanglements, and an adverse ruling by court, abuse of the legal system, and refusal to accept one's responsibility for one's actions. Now, when we read the Justice card upright in a reading, it says, your current situation hinges on matters of equilibrium, balance, fair treatment, and justice. If you are involved in a legal matter, it will be judged impartially and it's likely to be decided in your favor, but only if you are in the right. If you are in the wrong, the same impartiality applies and you will be held accountable. In any decision you take now, it's essential to be honest and judicious in weighing the pros and the cons. In the words of the Bible, be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Now, when this card is reversed in a reading, it can mean that your situation involves injustice, unfairness, bias, or partiality. Matters may feel out of balance or titled against you. Legal proceedings are likely to cause difficulties. I definitely see that a lot with the reverse of this Justice card, is something goes against the best interest of the person who's being read for. Dishonesty may characterize your dealings with others. If the goddess Ma'at were to weigh your soul against a feather right now, would she find you worthy of entering into paradise? So interesting. I love that this this book asks about the goddess Ma'at and that this card actually shows her with the Ankh, the lotus, the feather, the scales. I'm getting a little too into the symbolism of this card, but it's so perfect, right? She's wearing gold, and this is to represent that she is receiving guidance from divine. She's got blue and gold in her hair, and this is to represent that she's in balance with the truth. Blue is the throat chakra, and it is the principle of truth coming from the throat. She's got the Ankh over her heart. She's got all of this beautiful, ornate, she's a high priestess, right? So she has these divine wisdoms and knowings, but she's also highly educated. She's been trained in this order, you know. And the blue lotus represents intuition and divine intelligence. I think the feather could also represent the angelic realms. Now, we would see it contrasted against this guy. He's got this giant sword, right? And it is in ready to be used. Typically, you will see the two pillars behind the Justice card to symbolic of just right and wrong, right? There's two things here to be balanced between. You see the gold on the doors behind this person, but not actually on this person. So they are using divine intelligence, or they're using this in an unjust way and ethically, right? The feather here is down on the ground. The scales are empty. So this is about, do you see how they're unbalanced even though they're empty? So this is about being unfair. And the other thing I will point out is this person's wearing just an all black cloak here. And yeah, they're just a false type of a person presenting a case that is not in truth. There's no blue in this card. All right, now let me show you the traditional. So in the traditional, we have again Libra, the scales here. And again, remember that this card is connected to Venus. So this would be her. This would be the goddess represented by Venus in Lady Justice. You see here the blue again, right? Lots of blue to represent the truth. You know, we see the crown and the third eye. And again, the sword, but this sword is positioned not in a way that is going to strike somebody, in so much as that she holds the truth in balance with the scales. The two pillars behind her, and you see her cloak is red, and that is connected to, you know, the foundation's stability and all of this. All right, so that's the Justice card, and hopefully that was enough symbolism and you have learned something new here about how to read this card in a reading that you didn't know before. Thank you for checking out this content, and I hope to see you on the next episode.